Well, hello there and welcome to Houston Live and Local. I'm Melissa Wilson. It's a busy election day. Have you gotten out there and voted today? If not, you have until 7 o'clock tonight, so there's still plenty of time to do it. And hey, no excuses. It's beautiful out there. And as we've been telling you all day on Fox Local as well as Fox 26 Houston, there are free Metro rides today. So literally you have a free ride. It's a gorgeous day. Get out and have your vote. There is a lot on that ballot, and we want to make sure that you know what's out there. It makes it a lot easier if you understand it before you go. There are 17 proposed amendments, so it takes a while once you get there to start voting to read through them and to vote on those. Here locally, voters in Congressional District 18 will cast their ballots in the special election to fill that seat. It's been vacant now for 8 months. The position was held by late U.S. Representative Sylvester Turner, who won the race in the 2024 election. And then before Turner, you may recall, the seat had been held for nearly 3 decades by Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Turner ran to succeed Jackson Lee with her family's endorsement, but then passed away only 2 months later. That loss triggered today's special election to fill the vacancy. Right now, 16 candidates are vying for that seat, so a lot of people are on the hunt for it. The front runners include Harris County Attorney Christian Menifee, former City Council member Amanda Edwards, and State Representative Jolanda Jones. Harris County Clerk Tanisha Hudspeth addressed the media just a few hours ago about all of this. Let's listen into part of that.
We are encouraging voters to go to harrisvotes.com. There are 600 Election Day vote centers you can choose from where you can vote absolutely anywhere here in Harris County if you're a registered voter in Harris County. Polls opened at 7 a.m. Many voters have been processed to vote. The polls will close at 7 p.m. So all voters permitted in line by 7 p.m. will have an opportunity to cast their ballot. Wondering what's on the ballot? There are 17 state constitutional amendments for the entire state of Texas. You're a registered voter in Texas to choose from for or against, so do your homework before going in. There's a special election for Congressional District 18, a special election for the city of Houston at large, position 4, and many other school board and trustee elections throughout the county. So that's why it's really vital you go to Harris Votes and view your specific sample ballot. You can take written materials into the polling location with you, but not your cellular device. You have to put those away. You can't use that within the 100 feet of the voting center room. So be sure if you need help as you're trying to remember those propositions, you can print out or take notes on your notebook paper to assist you as you cast your ballot today. You can also find what location is closest to you. Simply put in your zip code and find the top 5 spots, whether it's near where you work, where you drop the kids off for school, or where you're shopping. That's my favorite part, right? So again, harrisvotes.com. If you have questions or concerns regarding today's election, you can call our hotline, 713-755-6965. That number is 713-755-6965. The 7 qualifying IDs voters will need to have when going to vote is the Texas driver's license, any Texas identification card, or the free election identification certificate, Texas handgun license, United States military ID, United States citizenship certificate with a photo, or a United States passport, book, or card, or any Texas election ID certificate that you have. Again, all this information is on harrisvotes.com. If you qualify to vote by mail and you have your mail ballot in hand because you don't believe it's going to make it to us in time via mail, you can simply take that mail ballot to the vote center with you, surrender it, and vote a regular ballot. If you're not able to get out of your vehicle, you can vote curbside. Curbside voting by law is required at every single vote center. And you can also drop your mail ballot off. If it's voted and done, you'll have to have your ID to 1019 Congress. So if you're a mail ballot voter and you're listening to my voice right now, you have it in hand, but you haven't put it in the mailbox, you can take it downtown to 1019 Congress. There'll be a stand outside that building so that you can see we're available to receive your ballot. Any questions? Well, I just said earlier, we voted well over 30,000. The first part of the morning is always kind of, everyone kind of getting into the groove. So no major issues, anything that needed to be addressed. We always have techs in the field to do that within a pretty quick time frame. So right now, the only issue is having more voters get out to the polls to actually cast their ballot. These are local elections. They meet you at your doorstep. And I know there's a lot of attention on larger election years, even years, but we really want to get the message across that there are very important measures on this ballot. Any other questions?
I know that you said y'all have some techs out right now.
Sure.
Making sure things keep rolling.
That's right.
We got some reports again this morning within the last hour or so.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Where someone who had a cell phone that shouldn't have been in the voting booth took a picture of the screen and said error message
Okay.
on two different computers that they tried to vote on. Any particular reason why that error message did pop up?
Well, I have not received that in regards to Briar Grove, but we'll look into that immediately now that we're discussing it. That information definitely has to come to us first to be able to address it. So I cannot give any feedback to something I'm not quite aware of. Again, if issues come up, the election judges are given hotline numbers to call us immediately to either walk them through processes or to be able to address it immediately. So I can't necessarily give an exact response to Briar Grove. It's really important that voters and election workers contact us directly on the numbers that have been provided to them. Sometimes people want to share on social media and they don't always have that information correct. So make sure you go to your local county office for real-time feedback and information. But I will tell you, we've had no reported issues as I walked up here today in terms of voters being able to vote at vote centers. So it could have been something that we've already addressed. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes. Well, in terms of turnout, at the end of early voting, over 212,000 voters had voted here in Harris County. Now, when you think about the amount of registered voters, 2.5 registered, that was only 8% of the vote as of the last of early voting. Today, we'll have a better look as we arrive to the end of Election Day to see how many people will vote. We're kind of comparing to previous off-year elections. So right around another 200,000 is what we're expecting. I hope that we have more voters. But right now, according to the last day of early voting, it was right about 8%. You all heard earlier that we have 600 Election Day sites during early voting, 70 Election Day sites. The sheer size of Harris County is the combination of 25 states put together. And so vote centers can be anywhere from your church in your neighborhood to a community center to an HOA facility. It really depends on those entities and whether they're willing to be a polling location and if they comply with ADA compliance. So what you might see in the middle of the city like a West Gray could be very different if you come to Humble and it's your local library. So there's not a way that you can really compare, but I can say there's more than enough of locations for voters to choose from. You don't have to vote where you're registered. You can vote anywhere within Harris County. Now that is Harris County. If you live in Fort Bend, Brazoria, Montgomery, or other surrounding counties, you have to vote in the political subdivision in which you're registered. Off years, typically, for some reason, voters are not keyed in like they are in an even year election. And so we are here to make sure that they know you can go to Harris Votes, look at what's on the sample ballot, but make a plan to vote. Be an informed voter. Thank you for that question.
And you've been listening to Harris County Clerk Tanisha Hudspeth. If you just did the math with me, it sounds like they're expecting about 16% of voters who are eligible to do it in Harris County to vote this time around. And that seems about what we typically see in an election that's considered an off year like this. One of the big things, if you vote, that you are going to be looking at is those 17 Texas amendments. And it takes a while to work through them when you're sitting there just reading them one at a time and voting on it. To make it easier for you, our morning anchor Lena DeFlorius has been breaking them down this entire month one at a time. This time she gives you a look at all of them. Here we go.
Here's a breakdown of all 17 proposed amendments to the Texas Constitution in less than 90 seconds. Prop 1. Do you want to use $52 million from the Texas General Revenue Fund to create a permanent fund for the Texas State Technical College System? Prop 2. Do you want to ban the state from imposing capital gains tax? Prop 3, do you want to deny bail without a trial for people who are accused of certain crimes like aggravated assault and indecency with a child? Prop 4, do you want to move $1 billion of sales tax revenue to the Texas Water Fund for infrastructure repairs through 2047? Prop 5, do you want to make animal feed waiting to be sold tax exempt? Prop 6, do you want to ban the state from taxing securities transactions like selling stocks and bonds? Prop 7, do you want to give a property tax break to widows and widowers of veterans who died from conditions related to their service? Prop 8, do you want to ban the state from imposing an estate tax on an inheritance? Prop 9, do you want to increase the business inventory tax exemption from $2,500 to $125,000? Prop 10, do you want to give property owners a property tax exemption if their property was destroyed by fire? Prop 11, do you want to raise the homestead exemption for the elderly and disabled from $10,000 to $60,000? Prop 12, do you want to give the governor more appointments to the Judicial Conduct Commission? Prop 13, do you want to raise the homestead exemption for all Texas homeowners from $100,000 to $140,000? Prop 14, do you want to move $3 billion from the Texas Revenue Surplus to create a Dementia Prevention and Research Institute of Texas? Prop 15, do you want to codify parents' rights instead of relying on case law? Prop 16, do you want to add non-citizen to the Constitution language that bans certain people from voting in Texas? Prop 17, do you want to give property owners a property tax break if they allow border security infrastructure on their property? Hope that helps. I'm Lena, your news anchor bestie. You can follow me if you care about this stuff.
Can you believe you just got all 17 in less than 2 minutes? Yes, there you have it. And if that was just too fast and your brain's just all over the place with that, head over to Fox Local. We have them all listed. You can study them a little bit better. And again, we heard the Harris County clerk saying earlier, you can't take those notes in on your cell phone. But if you need to say, hey, how did I want to vote on that? If you don't want to have to think about it once you go in to vote, you can write it on a piece of paper and take it in with you and have some little cheat sheets. As long as it's not on your cell, you can take in the paper. Well, we know that there are polling places all over the greater Houston area today. We checked in earlier with Fox 26's Leslie Delaspore. She's in Fort Bend County. It was fairly quiet during the lunch hour. How are things looking there now, Leslie?
Hey, Melissa. Yeah, as you mentioned, we are in Fort Bend County. I'm in Sugarland at Sugarland City Hall, which is a major polling location here. But I'm going to step out and show you it's pretty quiet in this area. As you can see, not much activity going on. You have a few people trickling in to cast their votes. But here in Fort Bend County, there are lots of amendments and propositions on the ballot, including a few tax increases, as well as asking voters if they want to put millions of dollars towards things like infrastructure, recreational facilities, water, and more. But before we came here to Sugarland, we were in Katy, and we talked with many people from different backgrounds, right? Different ages, different races, etc., about why they wanted to come out and vote. Take a listen to what one woman had to say.
I earned the right to vote, so I'm going to vote.
Yeah, was there anything on the ballot specifically that stood out to you or that made you want to come out, or anything that kind of caught your attention?
I'd ask something about parents being in control of their children. Absolutely. Taxes, a lot of taxes on there. I'm a homeowner, so I don't want to be taxed, overly taxed for schools and whatnot. I don't have children in school, but I'm willing to pay a good amount of money for taxes to support our education.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, you know, we keep hearing there are some big things on this ballot, right, for this election, but this isn't like a very popular election, right? Not everyone might come out. What would be your message to voters who might not see this election as important as a presidential election or another election?
Well, you have to vote. You have to have your voices heard. If you don't, then you can't say anything about what's going on in the world. You have to be more proactive. You have to, you know, get out there and say what you want to say. Don't put it on Facebook. Don't put it on Instagram or Messenger. You got to vote. It's important.
Now, as I mentioned, we were in Katy, and that woman that you just heard from was at the Katy Public Library on France Road. So even though it's pretty quiet here in Sugarland right now, we're going to stay in this area for a little bit and see if we can talk to some voters here in Fort Bend County about issues that matter to them and what brought them to the polls today. Reporting live in Fort Bend County, Leslie Delaspore, Fox 26 News.
Things keep going smoothly there, Leslie. Thanks for showing us around and talking to people and getting a good idea. And we hear it time after time, people saying exactly what that voter said, right? If you don't show up at the polls, you can't complain. Have you been hearing that over and over again?
Yes, for sure, absolutely. And I think one thing that we heard from with some other folks, two young men, they were 19 and 20, if I can recall that correctly. You know, they told us that's one reason why they came out to vote, is they want to make their voices heard for their generation and for future generations. And they just hope that other people their age can do the same thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. My son just turned 18 and is voting for the first time today, and he's so fired up. I can't wait to see that sticker on him when I get home. All right, Leslie, thanks for that. And we want to hear from you. How are you feeling about this? Are you heading out and about, or have you already voted? What do you think about it? 84% of you say yes, it's important. So it sounds like our Fox 26 viewers are more into perhaps voting than what the numbers are showing, because again, it sounded like 8% had showed up at early voting, and they expect about that many to show up today. 16% of you saying, nah, it's not major, it's no big deal. But you can scan that QR code on your screen. It's right there on the upper right-hand side if you want your say. You can also go to the Fox Local app and vote there. But let us know how you're feeling. If you didn't go vote today, hey, why not vote in our own poll? You don't have to get off your couch to do that. We make it nice and easy for you. So let us know. I mentioned it to you earlier, but I want to make sure you know, if you don't have a ride, Metro wants to make sure that you're covered. They are offering free round-trip rides to the polls today. It is for any bus, Metro Rail, curb to curb, and Metro Lift service. You name it, they've got you covered to ride for free. It's a good idea to have your voter registration card, or if you have any other approved documentation that you plan to use when you vote, you can show that to them and they'll let you hop on and off for free. They're making it super convenient for you today. Now you can find everything you need to know before you head to the polls on our website. Head on over to fox26houston.com. As soon as you get there, look on the home page. You'll find a voter's guide. Just click on that. Once you get inside that, we have voting locations, sample ballots for 18 different counties in our area. Then guess what? Our coverage is going to continue all day long for this. As those results start coming in, you can count on us. We'll be streaming those numbers live. We are going to have a panel of experts here. They're going to provide all kinds of analysis about these results. So you're going to need everything you need to know. You're going to find out right here as soon as those numbers start coming in, and that lasts until 11:30 tonight. And of course, we'll update you again tomorrow morning. So keep it here all day. We have you covered. Now, nationally, voters are also heading out and about. 2 states will actually elect new governors, Virginia and New Jersey. Another closely watched race will be the New York City mayoral race. President Trump is backing Andrew Cuomo and has threatened to cut federal funding if Zohran Mamdani wins, who he has now labeled a communist. And in California, voters will decide whether to adopt a new congressional map to counter the mid-decade redistricting effort right here in Texas. The potential new map in California would give Democrats 5 additional seats. Another top story today is the death of former Vice President Dick Cheney. His family, friends, and former colleagues are now really taking time to reflect on his life and on his legacy. Fox's Rebecca Castor brings you the latest on that.
Former Vice President Dick Cheney passed away Monday night, surrounded by his family due to complications from pneumonia and cardiac and vascular disease. For more than 50 years, former Vice President Dick Cheney was a force in Republican politics. His family announcing his passing at 84 years old, saying in part, Dick Cheney was a great and good man who taught his children and grandchildren to love our country and to live lives of courage, honor, love, kindness, and fly fishing.
He was a great and good man, and served our country with great dedication for years.
Cheney's political career spanned several decades and administrations. He served as Defense Secretary, White House Chief of Staff, and as Wyoming's congressman, where he established a strong conservative record. Cheney's greatest influence, though, was as vice president, when he advised President George W. Bush during wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and especially after 9/11, determined to win the war on terror once and for all.
There was a whole series of attacks that were foiled because of the CIA interrogation program that Dick Cheney was the champion.
Most recently, Cheney became one of the more prominent Republicans to oppose President Trump, and last year said he would cast his vote for Vice President Kamala Harris. Still, he's seen as a hero to some conservatives.
He was a man who was serious. He was a man who was dedicated to keeping this country safe.
In a statement, former President George W. Bush said history will remember Dick Cheney among the finest public servants of his generation. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Again, Dick Cheney was 84 years old. We're going to take a quick break. We'll see you on the other side of it.
Fox 26 is
Welcome back to Houston Live and Local at 1. We are giving you a look at what has been going on out there along I-45, the Gulf Freeway at Holland for quite some time. A 3-car accident caused a massive backup along I-45 since earlier this morning. We are still trying to figure out what caused it. We don't know if anyone is hurt, but you can definitely see flashing lights in that area. According to Houston TransStar, the scene was cleared, so I'm assuming this is an earlier shot because hopefully things are getting back on track. So I did find out, my director just told me this is a recording, so this is no longer the scene. Thank goodness for that, because look how slowly they're moving. Everybody coming in from Galveston was really struggling to get here. It was down to just that one lane before it split back, and they were able to get back on track. So what a mess for quite some time. Glad things are looking a whole lot better. In other headlines today, there was a robbery attempt in Southwest Houston. Now police are investigating that, trying to figure out what's going on. Let's see what they have to say.
My name is JP Harlica. I'm a lieutenant with Houston Police Department. This evening, right before 9 p.m., West Side Patrol Division got a call about a shooting in the 6300 block of West Line. When they arrived, what they found was one male. He was walking down the street when a gray car with 2 Hispanic males in their 20s pulled up and robbed him. They fired one shot in the air, and the victim tried to get away, so they shot him one time and then stole items from him. At that point, the victim was able to call 911. The Houston Fire Department made the scene, transported the victim to a local area hospital where he's currently in stable condition, getting treated. At this point, we have no other information. We have officers looking for video, and robbery division's en route to do a follow-up. So if anybody has any information that they'll contact HPD's robbery division or Crime Stoppers, we'd appreciate it.
Again, that robbery attempt happened last night, so you are highly encouraged to call if you know anything. The great thing about Crime Stoppers, too, is that you can remain anonymous. If you have any tips for them, 713-222-TIPS, the easiest number to remember if you happen to know anything, and they would certainly appreciate all the info that they can get. Well, we know that many Houstonians are really in trouble and so stressed about how they're going to go buy their next groceries this month. With the government shutdown, there's a lot of pressure going on because of SNAP benefits. Will they get them? Will it just be a partial amount? Will they get them at all? The questions are certainly at hand. Bethel's Heavenly Hands just wrapped up a food distribution event in Southwest Houston. So we have all of these people stepping up in our community, doing their best to try to make a difference for all of these families during this uncertain time. The Pastor James Lee said it's important to serve families that are impacted by the government shutdown. And so we were thankful to see that they were able to do that and really truly help make a difference. These are going to be ongoing events, but you do have to sign up in advance. We keep updating this information on our website, so I highly encourage you to go there to see if you can just see any information about the next ones, because again, you just can't show up. But every single day this week, they are going to be having those. The Houston Food Bank is planning special distribution sites all the way through November, so this entire month, and that's for people who maybe they're missing those SNAP benefits, maybe they're missing a paycheck because of the shutdown, so they're doing what they can to help those families as well. So if you need help for any reason, probably the easiest way to do it if you don't have help is just pick up the phone and call 211. Let them know what your needs are, and hopefully the city can do what it can to make sure that you know about some of these food distribution sites and some of the other help available, because there are a lot of local nonprofits doing what they can, and that's what Houston's all about, right? I mean, truly making a difference when people are hurting, and that's what they're going to be doing really the rest of the month until all of this gets ironed out. Now, the shutdown is impacting many areas of life. We've been showing you the airports, really not just in Houston, but all over the country, and what a mess it's been. You have to remember, a lot of people are going there without paychecks, and what that means is some of these people are having to take a pause from that job. They can't even go because they need to feed their families, they need to pay their mortgage, and so they're picking up different type of side hustles or even a new job in order to pay their bills because they're so stressed out. We've certainly seen an hour-long wait here in Houston. Yesterday it was 3 hours. Today it seems like it's been a little bit better. 1 hour waits just to get through the TSA line is pretty much what we saw all morning long. Fox's Brooke Taylor reports from the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport about how things are faring there right now.
This is America, and you feel when you come to America that things will work properly.
We are on day 35 of the longest government shutdown in history, and the situation is getting worse at America's airports. Problems are piling up as air traffic controllers and TSA workers continue working without pay. Many are calling out sick, leading to major staffing issues that caused more than 4,400 flight delays on Monday.
My parents who are working right now too, they're missing their work right now. Me, who has school right now, I'm missing school.
Texas is one of the hardest hit states. There's major delays here at Dallas-Fort Worth and also in Houston, where folks are being told to get to the airport extra early. Despite the inconvenience, some travelers say they are just glad the airports are still open.
I'm impressed that there's as many people working as there are, because if it was turned, I don't know that I'd be here.
But as those air traffic controllers miss their second paychecks, it's prompting new safety concerns.
Their decision-making skills are probably much worse because they're probably thinking about 100 other things now, more because they're not getting paid.
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says right now there are enough air traffic controllers, but if things get worse, he'll consider shutting down air travel.
If we thought that it was unsafe, we'll shut the whole airspace down. We won't let people travel.
And right now there's about 13,000 air traffic controllers who are working without a paycheck. In Dallas, Brooke Taylor, Fox News.
And we'll continue to watch those numbers for you here locally and bring you up to date just as often as we can. Right now, we're going to take a quick break. A lot more heading your way after this.
Fox 26 is
Welcome back to Houston Live and Local at 1 o'clock. I'm Melissa Wilson. Thrilled to have you with us today. It's election day, so you know we are checking out all the polling locations and see how they're doing today. There are hundreds in the greater Houston area, if you can even imagine that. Fox 26's Leslie Delaspour is in Sugar Land today, and it seems like it's been fairly slow there this afternoon. Anything picking up at all?
Yeah, Melissa, not so much. I can say, we talked to you maybe about 15 or 20 minutes ago, and I counted a few people maybe on one hand that probably came through here. But again, I'm going to give you a look. Pretty slow here at City Hall here in Sugar Land. Again, we've seen some people coming in through this front door, but it's not as busy as it was over in Katy, where we came from about an hour or so ago. But here in Fort Bend, there are lots of amendments and propositions the ballot, including a few tax increases, as well as asking voters if they want to put millions of dollars towards things like infrastructure, recreational facilities, water, and others. But again, like I said, we were in Katy and we were able to talk to some people from different ages and backgrounds about why they came out to vote, things on the ballot that were interesting to them and what that brought them out here. But here in Sugar Land, haven't had too many conversations yet with voters, but we're still planning to stick around and see if we can talk to some folks about the importance of making their voice heard today. Melissa, back to you.
All right, and any message that you're hearing from the voters today? Are they really into this, or are they just showing up to do their duty?
I can tell you in Katy, I think we heard from folks from all different backgrounds, different ages, races, genders as well, and they seem pretty into it. I think a lot of people said that they feel it is more important right now at this time in our nation to make their voices heard. Even we talked to some folks, some young adults who were in Gen Z, and we know how Gen Z is when it comes to their voice online and whatnot, but they wanted to put a message out there to their folks their age and let them know that it is important to make your voice heard, especially right now.
Well, I feel like every time you vote, it's just this feeling of empowerment, right? Like you care about your community, you're part of something bigger than your own home, and it feels really good to do it. So I encourage everybody to get out and about and enjoy. And you've got to be enjoying that gorgeous day. The sun's shining down on you. It's beautiful out there, so no weather excuses, right?
Yes, for sure. Definitely. Sun is bright. It's not terribly hot out here, and I think that is definitely keeping people coming. Like I mentioned, Katy, the public library on France Road was, I'm not going to say jam-packed, but it was very busy. Here it's a little bit slower, but we kind of just got out of that lunch hour, so it's probably going to pick back up here, probably closer to the afternoon or evening in this area at City Hall.
I can see that too. People too busy on their lunch break maybe, but after work, hopefully things will pick back up there. All right. Well, thanks for being out there to show us what's going on, and be interesting to see what else the voters have to say to you.
Thank you. Back to you. We'll keep you updated.
All right. Looking forward to it. And hey, just a reminder for you, if you have any questions or you wonder what else is on that ballot, we have you covered. The easiest way for you to find out all that info is to head on over to our website. It's fox26houston.com. On our homepage is where you'll find the voter guide. Click on that. Once you get inside, you're going to find those voting locations, sample ballots. And that's not just for Harris County. That's for 18 surrounding counties. Our election coverage continues all day on Fox 26, as well as our free Fox Local app where you're joining us now. And then as those results start to roll in, we'll be streaming live on Fox Local all evening long. We also have a panel of experts lined up for you. They're ready to tell you their analysis of the results, and that will last until 11:30 tonight. And then when you wake up bright and early with us tomorrow morning, we'll be recapping all of it. So again, there's all that information you need on our website. Well, I don't like to update you about Hurricane Melissa since I share the same name with this awful storm, the worst ever to hit Jamaica. They are really in just cleanup mode right now, especially because their busy season is really about to come upon them, and they're doing everything they can to get things cleaned up as fast as they can. The local officials are on the ground. They're doing everything they can to try to rush those disaster and recovery efforts. Fox's Eric Shawn shows us what's happening there right now.
Officials in Jamaica are scrambling to rebuild the island nation following Hurricane Melissa's catastrophic arrival, with the country's peak tourism season just 1 month away.
We definitely are doing everything in our power
to respond as quickly as possible.
The Jamaican government was initially expecting roughly 4.3 million visitors to come this winter season, but it is unclear what that number will look like now. AccuWeather predicts that fully rebuilding Jamaica could take 10 years or more after Melissa left an estimated $22 billion in damage and economic losses.
Jamaica need help, man. We mash up. First, we never history this in our life. First, we have to see this in life, man.
Aid from international governments, including the U.S., have been pouring in to deal with the devastation. State Department officials say the U.S. response to the hurricane is expected to be, quote, robust and effective. Farmers across the Caribbean are reeling from damage that has ruined much of their farms. Some in Jamaica fear it could trigger an egg shortage on the island, while those in Cuba will face challenges to an already fragile agricultural industry, where nearly 70% of the food is produced by small-scale farmers.
When I climbed through the yucca field, I felt like crying. In just 3 or 4 hours, everything was destroyed.
American businesses, including Disney and Home Depot, have already committed at least $1 million to assist with additional relief efforts for Caribbean communities. In New York, Eric Shawn, Fox News.
And if that wasn't bad enough, my goodness, at least 26 people lost their lives after a typhoon swept through the Philippines. Winds reached up to 93 miles per hour, gusts up to 115 miles per hour in some areas. Authorities there say major flooding. You can see it here. Look at the water just rushing down and so high. It has just displaced people. There have been dealing with power outages, and that is affecting tens of thousands of people. More than 150,000 people were evacuated before it even got there. The Philippines are battered by an average of 20 typhoons and storms every year. In addition, they suffer from earthquakes and more than a dozen active volcanoes. That makes it one of the world's most disaster-prone countries, but so much damage left behind. Our thoughts, prayers certainly go out with them. All right. Well, moments ago, we understand the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, gave a press conference. Let's listen into that.
President Trump has ended the reckless war on American energy and unleashed energy dominance, with gas prices now plummeting to their lowest average levels in more than 4 years. President Trump implemented powerful tariffs to rebalance America's trade deals, protect American workers, and returning our country to be a manufacturing superpower once again. As a result, the president has secured trillions and trillions of dollars in private and foreign investments into the United States, which are creating high-paying jobs for the greatest workforce in the world. The president has restored America's place as the leader of the free world through his unwavering peace through strength foreign policy that has already ended 8 wars and counting. And the president ended illegal DEI initiatives in our federal government and is returning our country to a merit-based society based on common sense. President Trump protected opportunities for women and girls to compete safely and fairly by continuing to keep men out of women's sports. Americans have a president who works tirelessly, literally 24/7, to improve their lives and make our country better than it has ever been before. So with that, today we will open it up to questions, and we will start with our independent journalist in our new media seat, Julio Rosas. Julio, please start. Thank you.
Thanks, Caroline. So over the weekend in Mexico, a mayor in Michoacan, Carlos Manso, he was assassinated while celebrating Dia de Muertos with his family. His assassination has sparked a lot of outrage. A lot of Mexicans are very upset. They're blaming President Claudia Sheinbaum for not taking the cartel threat seriously enough. Yesterday, she said that, once again, she's not going to allow any foreign military intervention to take on the cartels on Mexican soil, and that Mexico is not going to pursue a drug war similar to what they've done in the past. So my question is President Trump satisfied with Claudia Sheinbaum's approach to cartels? And if not, has Manso's assassination kind of opened up some new options for the United States to pursue regarding cartels?
Well, first of all, with respect to this specific news item and this alleged assassination that took place in Mexico, I know the Trump administration, we are aware of that, and of course we condemn all political violence anywhere in all forms. As for Claudia Sheinbaum and the president's relationship with her, I think he has a lot of respect for her as president of Mexico, and he also really appreciates the coordination that she has provided to the Trump administration. I can't speak for her and what she's doing internally in her country. I can speak for the president in saying we are continually pushing Mexico to do more to tackle the drug trafficking and the drug cartels within their country, and we are working with them in any way that we can. And the president has obviously used the full range of executive options in his authorities to crack down on drug trafficking at our southern border and to designate these cartels as foreign terrorist organizations and additional actions as well.
Just one more question.
Sure.
So at the Antifa roundtable that we were at just last month, myself and the other panelists made the recommendation to the president for, speaking of foreign terrorist organizations, to have Antifa not just be a domestic terrorist organization, but be designated as a foreign terrorist organization since they have cells in other countries. He mentioned to Secretary Rubio, because he was in the room at the time, to look into that. So I just wanted to see if there's an update on that.
Sure.
Recommendation.
That process is most definitely taking place. I don't have any announcements for you on that today, but I can certainly assure you the administration is working on it, and I'll check in on it and get back to you, Julio. It's a good question. Thank you very much. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. Zohran Mamdani blamed the president for bomb threats and intimidation at polling locations. He said, quote, part of the general approach of the Trump administration has taken to intimidate voters with baseless allegations of voter fraud as a means of trying to repress the voice of Americans across this country. I want to give you a chance to respond to that.
Yeah, I saw those comments from Mamdani. I think they are completely irresponsible, and they are based on zero evidence. And I think this is just another example of how the Democrat Party unfortunately stands for nothing. All they stand against is President Donald Trump. And I think it's quite sad to see that we have someone at the top of the ticket on an election day today saying such things about the president when he obviously had absolutely nothing to do with those threats.
And on the shutdown, Democrats have been pretty quiet about the president's push for the nuclear option, terminating the filibuster. Is there any concern around here that Democrats might actually want Republicans to get rid of the filibuster so that one day, when they're in power again, the door's already open for them to pack the Supreme Court, give statehood to D.C. and Puerto Rico, make mail-in balloting permanent, those kinds of things?
I think the president has been very realistic and strong in his position on the filibuster. He's been very vocal about it. I just spoke to him about it. He feels really strongly about this. Republicans need to play tough and they need to play smart. That's how the president feels. And we know that Democrats, if they are ever given a chance at power again in this city, they will absolutely take away the filibuster from the United States Senate. In fact, you had 49 Democrats who already voted to do this before. The only reason it did not move forward was because you had 2 Democrats who are no longer in office because they were run out of town by the far left radical base of their party. And so President Trump is quite clear on this. He wants to see Republicans move as many good pieces of legislation for our country forward in the next 3 years of his administration as they possibly can. And the filibuster is one means to doing that.
Talk to Johnson and Thune about it. I know that they had both voiced some opposition. Have there been any conversations with them?
He has. He's made his position to them very clear, both publicly and privately. Ouija.
Can you help clear up some confusion about SNAP benefits? Because the president just posted that they will only be given out when the radical left Democrats open the government and not before. But just yesterday, the administration said it would comply with a court order to expend the full amount of SNAP contingency funds by end of business day yesterday. So did the administration distribute that money or defy that court order?
No, the administration is fully complying with the court order. I just spoke to the president about it. The recipients of these SNAP benefits need to understand it's going to take some time to receive this money because the Democrats have forced the administration into a very untenable position. We are digging into a contingency fund that is supposed to be for emergencies, catastrophes, for war. And the president does not want to have to tap into this fund in the future, and that's what he was referring to in his Truth Social post. So the Department of Agriculture, as for the latest SNAP payment in the judge's order, put out guidance to states today on how to get that money to the recipients of SNAP, but it's going to take some time. The best way to get the full amount of SNAP benefits to those beneficiaries is for Democrats to reopen the government. So to anyone who is a SNAP beneficiary at home who needs that assistance, and the president was just saying, this is for people who are truly needy, who need food, who need this assistance from the United States government. Democrats are holding it up and making it difficult for the administration to get those payments out the door. So if you are at home and you want your SNAP benefits, call the Democrats and tell them to reopen the government.
Listen to the White House press secretary about what's going on with those SNAP benefits. Right now, we have Sky Fox over the scene of what has been a fairly dramatic scene with a lot of law enforcement in this area. We understand that this neighborhood is the Lakes of Bridgewater, just off of Morningtide Drive. I just looked that up on a map to give you a better idea if you're not familiar with the Katy area of where this is going down. So this is just off the Grand Parkway near Clay Road again, and the Lakes of Bridgewater. And we understand that there are Precinct 5 constables on the scene, U.S. Marshals, and a warrant team on the scene. We don't know why or what they're going on. It looks like a beautiful neighborhood, as you can see here. And we understand that they are delivering a federally sealed indictment, just trying to find out more information about that. And just my quick research into that looks like that happens a lot when a judge just wants to make sure that whoever is getting this warrant doesn't find out, that it stays secret. And so apparently the second it becomes unsealed and they receive that, then it is no longer considered secretive. But again, it's just to prevent any tipping off of the suspect that this is about to happen. Again, we understand 4 people have been detained in this. We haven't been given any names, or we haven't found out why. It definitely looks like a peaceful scene, as you can see. Again, a beautiful neighborhood in the Lakes of Bridgewater. Looks like quite a few law enforcement officers there. Sky Fox happened to be flying over the area, and so all of these officers pulling up here, so they just decided to hover over the scene here just to see what was going on. And that's when we heard from Precinct 5 constables, and that the U.S. Marshals were also there with a warrant team. So you can count on us as soon as we find out more to let you know. It looks like this is at the corner of Lantern Bay. Hard to see that other side, maybe Morningside, I believe. Yes, or Morningtide, yes, in the Lakes of Bridgewater. So there you have it. As soon as we find out more, we will let you know. Before that, though, we're going to head on to break. We'll be right back.
Fox 26 is
Hey, we're going to wrap up this hour with a question for you to ponder for a moment. Are you ready for it? What do Shrek and Pac-Man have in common? No, it's not a joke. They're balloons, of course. You got to check them out. Aren't they beauties? They're big boys, aren't they? They are two of the new balloons debuting in this year's Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Buzz Lightyear and Mario, as you see, also new. All four were unveiled Saturday at Balloon Fest in East Rutherford, New Jersey. They're also given an outdoor trial run ahead of the parade to make sure that everything's A-okay with them. But wow, are they massive? They look so great. So come Thanksgiving, you're going to have to be watching out for them and say, hey, I remember when they debuted. But there they are. You can tell just how big they are when you compare them to all the people around them. Well, taking the term TikTok famous literally, the social media platform is set to recognize its creators in a celebration next month. The first ever award show in the U.S. will be themed New Era, New Icons. It takes place on December 18th at the Hollywood Palladium in Los Angeles. TikTok says the award ceremony will air on its platform, also on streaming partner Tubi. Users can vote for their favorite creators from November 18th to December 5th on TikTok. We have plenty of influencers on Houston, so let's get to voting them up. And we can see them celebrating in Hollywood. That'd be pretty cool. Hey, and I've got an important reminder for you. Don't forget that this home can be yours for only $100. All you have to do is grab your phone right now for $100, scan that QR code, or you can also go to dreamhome.org. I know what you're thinking. Hey, I can't uproot my family. There's no way I can move to Waller right now. Well, guess what? You could rent it or you could sell it for $500,000. Boy, that would be a nice turn, wouldn't it? So that's just a thought right now. We're giving you a look inside of it. I've been there multiple times. In fact, I will be live there tomorrow morning, so you got to join us. And it's important for you to know that you can actually go tour this home. So if you want to see what it feels like and what the neighborhood looks like, the best way I know how to tell you is head out 290 toward Austin. And then once you get to Waller County, you're going to be looking for the Buc-ee's and turn right. And it's about a mile behind Buc-ee's. The address is right there on your screen. It's 632 Golden Astor Boulevard in Waller. This is what's huge about this. You give your $100, 100% of that goes straight to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And let me tell you, I've interviewed a lot of kiddos who were saved at that hospital. Another thing that's awesome about St. Jude, I got to go there and tour the campus and see their research facilities. Those researchers share some of that knowledge with our cancer doctors here in the Houston area. So it really just ties us all in together. Again, $100. This home could be yours. And then on November 19th, right here on Fox 26, we will be drawing that name in our studio. And I can't wait for that to happen. Hey, and how about this? 4-time Grammy winner Mark Anthony is going to be in Vegas, baby. I got to talk to him this morning along with Heather Sullivan. Listen in.
I mean, to do residency after 4 decades of doing arenas and stadiums, this offers an opportunity to mount a show, an intimate show, in Las Vegas, which is known as an intimate kind of venue for performance and for performers, and put a show together of songs I've never been able to perform. Number one songs that I just haven't, and I've never performed live.
Wow.
Although they were hits. Yeah. So it's a yeah. So I'm gonna. I'm certainly enjoying the process of putting it together, and I can't wait.
Now, we understand that you're going to be performing in both English and Spanish. Do you feel like that will bring your crowd together better than ever before?
I mean, it's always been that. I don't think this is a catalyst to bring anything together. Just going, it's an evening. If you enjoy great live entertainment, a show that's specifically curated for Las Vegas, songs you've never heard sing me live, me sing live, if you will. And it's going to be evening just to come out and have fun, and I'll do my part, hopefully so. But I'm really looking forward to this challenge. for me, it's not an opportunity, it's a responsibility.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really, really excited about being in one place, consistent production, great light, great sound, just a night of music.
Oh, it was so fun to talk to him. And a stat that shocked me is that he has 114 #1 hits. I thought that was a typo. I was like, 14? No, 114. So he is going to take Vegas by storm. Pre-sale beginning, and then that live show starts in February. So Viva Las Vegas, something to look forward to with Mark Anthony. It sounds like it's going to be an incredible show. And he said he's never performed live before, which interested me. I couldn't believe with all those top ones that that's what he had to say. Hey, a lot more coming your way here on Fox Local. You've got Rashi Vats coming your way next. I hope you have a beautiful day. Get out and vote if you haven't. And we'll see you soon. Have a good one.
Fox 26 is
Good afternoon and welcome to Houston Live and Local. It is 2 o'clock this November the 4th. It is election day. It is also day 35 of the government shutdown. So we are going to be going live to the Senate floor. We're keeping track on that, all the effects that people are seeing, especially over at the airports. We're also keeping track about all the elections going around the nation, from California, New York to here in Houston. And we should be getting in results in about 5 hours or so. And we're keeping track of all of those election races, and we'll be giving you live coverage. Right now is actually a great opportunity for you, if you don't have it already, to download the Fox Local app. It's a free app that you can get on your mobile phone and also on your smart TV. And there, it's very easy to not just get election results, but also all the other news happenings across the nation, and also your weather. Speaking of which, we have meteorologist Ramisha Shade to tell us just how dang gorgeous it is outside.
Oh, it's so nice. It was hard for me to open the door and come in. I was like, oh, let me hang out for 60 more seconds.
I know, just let it in.
It's so pretty outside. This is the third day in a row where it's just been really pretty much close to perfect. I mean, I'm sure someone can find fault somewhere, but hey, in my opinion, we're doing great.
Well, I think it's also great because people have been waiting in lines to vote. So
Right.
it's, you know, there have been previous years where there's rain or,
Oh,
something
yes.
and it's just awful. But
so many issues,
nice.
but yeah, we don't have to worry about rain, storms, strong wind. We got tons of sunshine, and it actually feels great out there. It was a little chilly, a little nippy out there this morning, but it feels lovely now. Of course, with the sunshine, it always makes it feel a little warmer, and we don't have a lot of wind. The wind has shifted to the east and southeast, so it is a bit warmer, a few degrees warmer today, but like I said, I can't really find much to complain about.
Let's not complain, folks.
Just get out there and enjoy it.
Yes.
That's our advice. All right, of course, we are beautiful here, very quiet weather. Wanted to give you a brief overview of what's happening across the country because, of course, we've got elections and folks going out to vote in other parts of the country. And let's see if we have any major weather issues. Not really. You can see one storm system up across the Dakotas, a little rain with that one. We've got some showers in Northern California, a few showers in the northeastern U.S., but really the majority of the country under influence of high pressure, just like we are. So it is looking great out there. We've got tons of beautiful bright sunshine. And these temps, like I've been saying, pretty close to perfect. 78 degrees, not too hot, not too cold, just right. So great to have lunch outside over the next day or so. Great for a morning walk, evening jog. It's going to be nice weather for all of it. Now, dew points have been in the 40s the last few days, but they're starting to creep back up. That's because that wind has shifted from the north and northeast to now the east southeast. So that's the return of that Gulf flow, Gulf moisture, and eventually warmer temps and higher humidity. But right now, still the humidity is tolerable. It hasn't gotten too high just yet. Elsewhere, we've got temperatures already up to 80 in Sugar Land, so kind of overperforming there. 73 in Galveston and LaPorte, 77 in Angleton, 77 in Conroe, and how about 77 degrees for you in Brenham. So great election day temps, about a few degrees, 2 to 3 degrees warmer than we were at this time yesterday afternoon. So let me walk you through the rest of your election day as far as the weather is concerned. Maybe you haven't had a chance to get out and vote just yet. We do have lovely weather, once again, continuing for the rest of today through tonight. 3 p.m. temps right around 78, mild, dry, plenty of sunshine, 74 degrees by 5, light breeze out of the southeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. And by 7 o'clock, it's going to be a nice evening. Remember, sunset's around 5:30, so it's going to be an early sunset, of course, with daylight saving time ending over the weekend. But 7 o'clock will still be around 69 degrees, clear skies, very light breeze. Checking out our wind gust over the next 12 hours. There's not going to be much to worry about. Wind gusts may get up to about 11, 12 miles per hour out of the east to southeast, but that is about it. So very quiet weather. You can see high pressure off to our northeast and our northwest. So we are sandwiched in. So we've got very quiet conditions, but notice the flow. We're on the backside of that high pressure currently east of Atlanta. And that means the wind has shifted back to the southeast. So that will be the start of kind of a bit of a warm up. So it's not going to be record heat returning, but you will notice that heat intensifying over the next few days. You can see that heat already building today to our northwest, but the heat will start to build here as well. So I don't think we're going to get back up to 90 degrees, but a few spots may get fairly close, especially by the end of the week. So for today, up to around 79 degrees, lots of sunshine, nice day for the rest of your Tuesday. Wednesday up to 83 degrees, Thursday 83. We should be dry, but you will notice that jump in the temperatures. It is going to be warmer. And overall, our models are indicating above average temperatures, at least taking us through the middle of the month with precipitation slightly below normal. So as far as our rainfall, we are still behind on our rainfall. I actually looked back since the beginning of September, so that's over the last couple of months, and we are anywhere from 5 to almost 9 inches behind for our rainfall for Houston, Bush Airport, Hobby Airport, Galveston, and College Station. So we've had about 3 to a little over 4.5 inches of rain over the past few months, but it's not enough. We do need more of those downpours in the area. So drought monitor still not looking that great. We got the severe drought, Columbus, Eagle Lake, Liberty, east and west of Houston, but we are anticipating those drought conditions to get worse likely as we go through the next couple of weeks. Rain chances are going to be slim to none through about Saturday. 10% chance Friday, 10% chance Saturday, 20% chance for Sunday. We've still got most of the counties under burn bans, including all of Harris County. But if you are in Montgomery County, Walker County, Brazoria County, you have been taken out of the burn ban for now. However, it's going to stay fairly dry. Precip outlook all the way through November 14th. That takes us almost to the middle of the month, and we are in that light to medium brown. That is below average precip. So it's not going to be super warm, but I do think the 80s are making a comeback, and there's not going to be many opportunities for rain, unfortunately. So, you know, I know some people would like to see more of a fall feel or maybe have more rain. There's always going to be some folks that don't like it, but you know, personally, I'm enjoying this quiet stretch.
I am enjoying it too.
I say 2 more weeks of it.
Yep. All right, Ramisha, thank you. Well, we got to get to our election coverage, and we're going to go ahead and start off over in California, where multimedia reporter Amalia Roy is joining us live now. I understand you are covering Proposition 50, and it would alter many of the state's congressional districts. So explain a little bit more about this proposition and what both sides are saying.
Yes, hi Rashi. So Prop 50 is really targeting 5 currently Republican-held states across California. Governor Gavin Newsom and the California Democrats say that this is a necessary measure against moves made in Texas in terms of redistricting. Now, since this happened, it has now become this national tit for tat in different states looking at redrawing their maps. But here in California, it's those 5 districts that they're hoping to flip for the midterms in 2026 for the Democrats.
And what does the polling indicate? Does it look like it's going to pass?
The most recent polling we've seen has shown that it is likely to pass. It is looking like this as polls as far as a week ago that we've seen. We know that in the bigger cities there has been this very big push for Prop 50 to pass, and that's where a lot of these voter bases are. But over the past month, I have also been going around the more rural areas of the state where I have been speaking with people who want to vote no on Prop 50. They say that they are worried about what this change in representation will mean for their voices in Washington, especially people from the agricultural communities.
I know Governor Gavin Newsom has been pretty vocal about this throughout the past weeks. What has he said most recently?
Governor Gavin Newsom has been campaigning till the end with Prop 50. Yesterday, he spoke in San Francisco with Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, talking about the need to balance what is happening in Washington. He says that this is a necessary balance against the Trump administration and Republican lawmakers, and it goes back to what initially sparked this, which was what was happening in Texas with Republican lawmakers redrawing maps. And so at the time, what started as you take 5 seats in Texas, gain 5 seats in California, he's now looking at all of the redistricting that we're seeing across the country.
And redistricting seems to be the big reason why nationally this is making headlines. Are there some other reasons why people have been so concerned about this?
Part of the conversations I've had, and this is with people who are in favor of Prop 50, people who are against Prop 50. I've been speaking with political scientists, and across the board, they do say that they're worried about what this very blatant political redistricting means for a lot of faith in the American electoral system. I've heard people say that if it starts with Texas, then goes to California, and then goes to Missouri, what that means for what states is next. We also have one of the congressmen here whose seats would be at risk under Prop 50, Kevin Kiley, who said just that. He is against redistricting, political mid-decade redistricting in all forms, regardless of what state it is. And as this happens across the entire country, people are keeping an eye. I will say, though, that it is different in California because that power really belongs with the voters to decide how their maps are drawn, which is why it's gone to a proposition as opposed to state lawmakers pushing forward unilaterally.
All right, Amalia Roy reporting live for us there in California. Thank you for that live report, and we'll check back in with you a little bit later. And we want to remind you that we have votes and races going on across the country that we are keeping a very close eye on. The races that we'll be watching in parts of the country to give us a better perspective of the nation's political climate. Over in New York City, voters will decide the next mayor, and that's a pretty big race that everyone's been talking about really internationally. The candidates are Democrat Zohran Mamdani, who President Donald Trump has been very vocal about not supporting him. Former Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo, who is now running as an independent, and President Donald Trump did endorse him. We also have Republican Curtis Sliwa, who has been trailing in the polls. Now, in gubernatorial contests in Virginia and New Jersey, more moderate Democrats are carrying leads over Republicans. And we want to check in here locally to see what's been going on specifically over in Fort Bend County. We do understand that there's just so many voters luckily going out. It's beautiful weather, like Ramisha Shade was telling us, and we are going to be going, I believe, to Leslie Delaspore, who is out in Fort Bend County. She's been out there all day long talking to voters. So Leslie, if you can hear me, what have they been saying?
Yeah, Rashi, I think the tone is pretty much the same between voters. I think everyone that I've spoken to here in Fort Bend County wants to make their voices heard. I'm going to step out and show you now. It's pretty slow here in Sugar Land, and we've seen a few more people come in, but it's still moving fairly slow compared to where we were earlier. And Katie, you see some folks who just walked out of making their voice heard here at Sugar Land City Hall. However, you know, within the last 30 minutes since we were last on air, we did speak with 3 voters, and they said the same thing about the importance of voting and making your voice heard, what brought them out today, and they felt like what was on the ballot was very, you know, important to them. And one man we even spoke with said that while he thinks everyone should make their voice heard, he talked about the importance and what he would like to see, just as an American citizen, that the language be a little bit easier to digest for voters who may not understand exactly what they're voting for. And he wants to make sure that, or he would like to think that people would not be intimidated to come out and vote based off of the language that they're reading. But again, before we were here in Sugar Land, we were in Katy, and I want you to take a listen to 2 men who are in Gen Z and what they had to say about the importance of voting. Take a listen.
Saw what's happening around the world, so we were like, we got to make an impact. We got to help our generation.
We're just going to do our due diligence as citizens, you know. We got to make sure everyone out there votes. Make sure you guys are voting. You might not think it's important. You might not think it matters, but your vote does matter. Everyone's vote matters. That's why you should vote.
Yeah, and you guys are kind of young. How old are you guys, and why? Like, what would you say to your generation?
I mean, I'm 19, and I think it's really important because, like, what we do matters. So, I just say you go out there and vote. That's basically what I'm doing.
Yeah. What about for you?
Yeah, I'm 20. My word for this generation is like we're next. We're next up. Then what comes next is on our hands. So we got to make sure like we're doing our part and making sure like we set up the next generation after us, you know?
Yeah. Was there anything on this ballot specifically that you caught your attention? Like, did you look at it before? If you didn't, that's cool. But was there anything that caught your attention or that made you want to come out here?
Actually, no, I haven't even looked at the ballot yet. I'm not.
Yeah, me neither. I haven't looked at it either.
Yeah, awesome. Any other messages to voters, young voters, old voters, anybody really about the importance of just getting out today? I know it's not the presidential election or it's not a super major election, but it's still important, right?
Yeah, it's still really important for our future. Like he said, we're up next, so we gotta like really think about it. Our families, our near families, stuff like that. Help out our people, you know.
And coming up in the 3 o'clock hour, as I mentioned, we did talk with some folks who are were here in Sugar Land, and we are going to be speaking with them later. And we're going to let you hear what they had to say about the importance of voting here in Fort Bend County. Reporting live in Sugar Land, Leslie Delasport, Fox 26 News.
All right, Leslie, thank you. Glad to see younger voters going out there as well. Now, we want to hear from you. Tell 26 if you're headed out to the polls, let us know. We want to hear from you. That is our Tell 26 poll today. We know it's not a presidential election, but some Houstonians plan to go make their voices heard. So you can go to fox26houston.com, click on the Tell 26 tab, or scan the QR code on your screen, and it's great. 85% of you right now saying yes, it is important. 15% say no, it's not major. All right, definitely be sure. Again, fox26houston.com, click on the Tell 26 tab, and you can vote there. We're talking about government shutdown, day 35, all the effects of it. We're going to take you live to the Senate floor coming up next. Welcome back. It is day 35 of the government shutdown, and we're going to take you live to the Senate floor where both sides, Trump says he wants the government to reopen before he's willing to negotiate on other issues like Affordable Care Act subsidies. Meanwhile, Democrats, they are standing their ground, saying without those subsidies, healthcare costs for millions of Americans will skyrocket. But Republicans are also holding strong, noting the subsidies don't expire until the end of the year. So right now, no one is speaking. There is a quorum call, which, if you don't know, it's a formal process used in legislative bodies and other organizations to officially determine if there's enough members present to conduct business. And it doesn't look like there are a lot of people over there. So that's going to be interesting to see what comes out of this. But we will be keeping tabs on what's happening here. In the meantime, we know Democrat Hakeem Jeffries is talking about this government shutdown. Senate Minority Leader talking to the public earlier today about what he thinks about day 35 of the shutdown.
We've been clear from the very beginning. I said it months ago, that Democrats would not let Donald Trump and Republicans gerrymander the national congressional map as part of their effort to rig the midterm election. We said it months ago. And that California would be the beginning, but that there would be a decisive Democratic response throughout America, from coast to coast, and at all points in between. And now the American people can see that we absolutely are determined and committed to a continuing response that is decisive, that is immediate, that is forceful, and that is designed to ensure that there are free and fair elections in this country when it comes to deciding which party should control Congress in 2026. Democrats will not unilaterally disarm. Democrats recognize the moment that we're in, that the pushback will continue to be ongoing and forceful, and we will not allow Donald Trump and his Republican sycophants to undermine a free and fair national congressional map as part of his toxic effort to rig the midterm elections. If I said it, I meant it. Next question. As I've indicated, we are going to evaluate whatever is presented from the Senate if it emerges in good faith and in a bipartisan way, as long as it addresses the Affordable Care Act tax credit issue in some way, shape, or form. We are in open enrollment right now. Tens of millions of Americans are about to experience their premiums, copays, and deductibles skyrocket. It requires action. And what is clear is that Republicans increasingly understand that. Marjorie Taylor Greene for weeks has made that clear. 13 Republicans in the House wrote to Mike Johnson, the Deputy Speaker of the House, because apparently, according to Donald Trump, he's the Speaker of the House of Representatives. And they said that something needs to happen on the Affordable Care Act tax credits. And now we're seeing movement in the Senate, because apparently Senate Republicans recognize that something needs to happen as it relates to extending the Affordable Care Act tax credit. So we'll evaluate any agreement, if an agreement is presented to us, as a caucus, but not before that.
Assuming that there is a bipartisan agreement in the Senate done in good faith, do you believe that President Johnson will be able to deliver that on his end in good faith?
I think that depends on, whether Donald Trump orders him to do it or not.
Thank you, Leader. So Congressman Chuy Garcia appears to be retiring, and it also appears that he waited up until the filing deadline to make this decision, thus paving the way for his chief of staff to have an uncontested primary. This is being called a machine tactic by some people in your own party. Do you have an issue with how this was done?
I haven't had a conversation to evaluate the process that was utilized or to talk to Representative Garcia, so I'm not going to comment on it until I talk to him directly.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Multiple of your Democratic colleagues have said that they gave their October paycheck to charity or they deferred it completely, and last time you were asked this, you said you made a decision over last weekend. So I just want to ask you again, what did you decide to do with your paycheck from October?
Did you not see that I answered that question, or are you just asking me to reiterate my answer? Because I did publicly make clear on Friday to my constituents and publicly that my paycheck has been withheld.
Yes, Mr. Leader. Secretary Duffy said today that this shutdown drags into next week. There's a possibility that the FAA could be closing parts of U.S. airspace because of the lack of controllers, and then just in the last hour or so there's a ground stop at Reagan National because of the security threat. How could major aviation issues affect your calculus or anyone's calculus up here when it comes to the shutdown?
Well, Duffy needs to start acting like a transportation secretary and stop trying to pretend to be a reality show TV star. Because at the end of the day, it's the Republicans who shut the government down. Donald Trump repeatedly has made that clear. They're the ones who have the power to reopen it. And as Democrats, we've said, this Trump Republican shutdown is causing great harm and pain to the American people, and it does threaten aviation safety. But Donald Trump has spent more time over the last 35 days talking to Hamas and the Chinese Communist Party than he has talking to Democrats on Capitol Hill to reopen the government. Democrats on Capitol Hill who represent half the country. And we continue to be clear. We will sit down with our Republican colleagues anytime, any place, in order to reopen the government, protect the American people, find a bipartisan path forward, and decisively address the Republican health care crisis.
Mr. Leader, I just wanted to ask when was the last time you spoke to Speaker Johnson about the current shutdown situation, and has the shutdown impacted your relationship with him at all? Do you still have that kind of forward-looking relationship that you said you had in the past?
We had a brief conversation last week. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Well, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt spoke from the White House today, also talking about how President Trump is handling the government shutdown and also voting reform. Let's listen in.
Quiet about the president's push for the nuclear option, terminating the filibuster. Is there any concern around here that Democrats might actually want Republicans to get rid of the filibuster so that one day when they're in power again, the door's already open for them to pack the Supreme Court, give statehood to D.C. and Puerto Rico, make mail-in balloting permanent, those kinds of things?
I think the president has been very realistic and strong in his position on the filibuster. He's been very vocal about it. I just spoke to him about it. He feels really strongly about this. Republicans need to play tough and they need to play smart. That's how the president feels. And we know that Democrats, if they are ever given a chance at power again in this city, they will absolutely take away the filibuster from the United States Senate. In fact, you had 49 Democrats who already voted to do this before. The only reason it did not move forward was because you had 2 Democrats who are no longer in office because they were run out of town by the far left radical base of their party. And so President Trump is quite clear on this. He wants to see Republicans move as many good pieces of legislation for our country forward in the next 3 years of his administration as they possibly can. And the filibuster is one means to doing that.
Talked to Johnson and Thune about it. I know that they had both voiced some opposition. Have there been any conversations with them?
He has. He's made his position to them very clear, both publicly and privately. Ouija.
Can you help clear up some confusion about SNAP benefits? Because the president just posted that they will only be given out when the radical left Democrats open the government and not before. But just yesterday, the administration said it would comply with a court order to expend the full amount of SNAP contingency funds by end of business day yesterday. So did the administration distribute that money or defy that court order?
No, the administration is fully complying with the court order. I just spoke to the president about it. The recipients of these SNAP benefits need to understand it's going to take some time to receive this money because the Democrats have forced the administration into a very untenable position. We are digging into a contingency fund that is supposed to be for emergencies, catastrophes, for war. And the president does not want to have to tap into this fund in the future, and that's what he was referring to in his Truth Social post. So the Department of Agriculture, as for the latest SNAP payment in the judge's order, put out guidance to states today on how to get that money to the recipients of SNAP, but it's going to take some time. The best way to get the full amount of SNAP benefits to those beneficiaries is for Democrats to reopen the government. So to anyone who is a SNAP beneficiary at home who needs that assistance, and the president was just saying, this is for people who are truly needy, who need food, who need this assistance from the United States government. Democrats are holding it up and making it difficult for the administration to get those payments out the door. So if you are at home and you want your SNAP benefits, call the Democrats and tell them to reopen the government.
Blocking that contingency fund for the future if this shutdown lingers on?
Look, the president does not want to have to continue to dip into a contingency fund that doesn't even have enough money, by the way, to fund the full program. It takes $9 billion to get the full scale of the benefits out the door. This contingency fund only has about $5 billion in it. So again, Democrats need to reopen the government so we can get these benefits out the door for people who truly need them. Kate.
Thanks.
The president suggested that if Downing wins, that he would cut federal funding to New York. How much funding would be impacted? What would be impacted there?
Well, look, we won't get ahead of the election results, nor will I speak to what the president may do in the future. We'll see how tonight goes, and then I'll let him speak on it further.
And why did the administration exclude Democratic lawmakers last week? There was a briefing about U.S. strikes on alleged drug trafficking boats. Why were those Democrats excluded?
The administration has briefed Congress on these matters 8 separate times, and Democrats have been included in those briefings. In fact, I know that Secretary Rubio will be on Capitol Hill tomorrow to brief the Gang of 12, which includes Democrats as well. So the president's made it very clear, if senators want to understand the administration administration's operations against narco drug traffickers. We are very happy to speak with them about that, and we will continue to do so. But we've been incredibly transparent. As I said, there's been 8 briefings on this topic, with the 9th coming tomorrow. Rachel.
Thanks, Caroline. There's been some reporting out there about the possibility of furloughed workers not getting back pay. We know that the president signed that bill into law in his first term. Does the administration guarantee that all furloughed workers will get back pay?
This is something we are very much open to discussing with Democrats as part of the discussions about the continuing resolution to keep the government open, and it's something that Republicans are talking with Democrats about right now. I won't get ahead of those negotiations or discussions.
That's a possibility that may not happen, even though it's law.
I just said Republicans in the White House are very much open to discussing this with Democrats.
And just one last question. As this government shutdown now drags on, about to make history as the longest government shutdown in American history, can you talk about what the president is personally doing to try to see an end to this?
He's pushing Republicans to keep voting and to keep opening up the Senate floor to vote for the clean continuing resolution. He had the Senate Majority Leader and the House Caucus Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, here at the White House to talk about this in the very early stages, to give them a chance to come to their senses and avoid this entire government shutdown at the very beginning. And they chose not to. And I think it's been very clear to everyone in this room and to everyone across the country that the Democrats are playing partisan politics with our United States federal government. And all Republicans have wanted to do for the last 35 days is reopen the government. That has been the president's position since day one. It is his position today on day 35. And all we need are 5 common sense Democrats with have a little bit of courage and come to the table and vote with Republicans. I saw Senator John Fetterman on television last night saying that he hopes more folks in his party will step up. And we certainly agree with him on that point. Sure.
Caroline, the president posted on Truth Social that the voting underway in California is, quote, rigged. What evidence does he have of that, and what does it mean that mail-in ballots in that state are under legal and criminal review? By whom and why? And also, in this vein, does the White House still plan to issue an executive order banning mail-in voting, and what legal authority do you have to do that?
The White House is working on an executive order to strengthen our elections in this country and to ensure that there cannot be blatant fraud, as we've seen in California with their universal mail-in voting system. It's absolutely true that there's fraud in California's elections. It's just a fact. It is just a fact. They have a universal mail-in voting system, which we know is ripe for fraud. And if you want to deny that, I'm happy to provide you all of the evidence for it. I'd be glad to send that to you after this briefing.
Rigged.
Fraudulent ballots that are being mailed in the names of other people, in the names of illegal aliens who shouldn't be voting in American elections. There's countless examples, and we'd be happy to provide them. As for executive action the White House is taking, yes, we are looking into that. And like any executive order, of course, any executive order the president signs is within his full executive authority and within the confines of the law.
All right, now we're talking about government shutdown. Day 35, almost going to be the longest government shutdown in the state, in the history of the United States of America. What is the end look like, if there is one? We have been constantly monitoring what's happening in the Senate floor. There's been a 14th vote, and that failed. So let's check in and see what's been going on right now on the Senate floor live.
It's also Brooks.
Like they are back on a quorum call now, day 35 of the government shutdown, and we're closely monitoring the Senate floor. We are going to be talking about Jamaica and how you can help the country there after Hurricane Melissa pummeled through that island. We have a live guest coming in right after the break. All right. Well, the Houston Sports Authority is celebrating sports legends with their annual Hall of Fame ceremony. We want to take you there live right now. It's a very special time because each honoree is honored on the Walk of Fame downtown, also given a custom ring. You see that ring right over there given to one of the honorees, and you're wondering, who are all these people? Well, former Oilers player Kenny Houston, longtime Houston Comets coach Van Chancellor, and Heisman winner Andre Ware are being celebrated. So let's take you live out there right now where it looks like Van Chancellor is speaking.
I just want to thank you so much. Patty, you've done such a good job with this and all of this today and everybody. And I'm just so honored to be here, and I'm just thankful.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Van Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen. All right, last up, I had a part of this. That's why it probably wasn't as good as the other ones. But I invited, well, actually, I went through the sports information department at the University of Houston because I had to try to figure out how I could get Andre without anybody, being the wiser of it and saying, well, so I said, hey, tell him to come up there. We're going to be doing some kind of an anniversary type of a interview. And so he did. He showed up with milk and donuts. And we got him. We surprised him. Also, Patty did a great job adding some family with it as well, his wife and children. And here is Andre Ware, finding out he's in the Houston Sports Hall of Fame.
In the door, he knows where he's going. At least if I'm down there in that space, oh, he's here, he's, okay.
Yeah, he left. What's going on? I lied. Oh man, you did lie. What's going on?
Hey, for all you've done, all the years, Dickinson High School, University of Houston, broadcast career, everything that you've done, it's my honor to welcome you to the Houston Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2025.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 3,000 men and women members of the Downtown Athletic Club resident throughout the United States join me in the signal honor of awarding the 1989 Heisman Memorial Trophy to Andre Ware of the University of Houston.
And welcome back to the Downtown Athletic Club here in New York City, where the 1989 Heisman Award winner has been announced, and is Andre Ware of the University of Houston. And I think it's only appropriate to turn to Andre via satellite now, and I'm sure you have a speech prepared for us, Andre.
Well, it's coming straight from my heart. I want to thank God for giving me the strength to get up every day and be the absolute best I can be. I want to thank my mother for standing right there by me through all these hard times. I want to thank my grandparents, Coach Party, for giving me the opportunity to play quarterback when a lot of people didn't believe in me. And I want to thank my teammates for playing their hearts out this year and not giving up. A lot of people didn't give us credit as far as being able to continue this season with probation and all that hanging over our heads. We've overcame a lot as a football team, and I'm accepting this trophy for my teammates in the University of Houston.
Andre Ware, these are indeed the times of your life.
Oh yeah, by all means.
Some kind of sport. I didn't ever think it would be football.
I believe it was during about the third or fourth ball game in his 8th grade year when we realized that he had some ability to pass the football. We happened to call a pass play, and he completed it about 35, 40 yards, and then we started working on his passes from then on.
I remember his mother wanted him to quit. She didn't want him to play. And we all jumped on it. Oh, let him keep playing, let him play. He's got good talent. Looks like he's going to try to be a good quarterback.
There were always a doubt in the back of my mind. what if this, what if that, you know? You get hurt. Find another sports that you know, might take interest into, but his determination was football. He was determined to play football.
That's tall and has athletic ability and has some smarts to go with it, and you feel like that they got a chance to be special.
Whenever he come back to Dickinson, this is his home, you know, and whenever he come back, well, and he stop and talk with the youngsters and try to encourage them.
He always would have a football in his hand. Every Christmas, I had to buy a football. Christmas wasn't Christmas without a football for Andre.
This is when we were freshmen, and he said, man, I'll be all district someday. And, you know, when I was a freshman, I was like, God, you might as well win the Heisman if you're all district, you know.
So gather moments while you may collect the dreams you dreamed today. Will you remember the times of your life?
Just appreciative of this city that's kind of embraced me. Small town guy from Dickinson, Texas, and now reside pretty much in Houston, in the greater Houston area. So the names that have gone into this are legendary, and to be going in with them, it's mind blowing. You got me. I got you guys. Got me.
That's good stuff, Fred.
Looking live right now at the Houston Sports Authority Hall of Fame ceremony. Very emotional there, and it's so great. He's getting presented with his ring. That's the jeweler right there, very famous, and here he is with his ring. So very cool. I'm not sure he's going to say anything right now, but something that's definitely much deserved. And he does seem like he's speaking right now if we want to listen in.
Paul Anka, come on. The fact that I know.
I was fine. I was holding it together. It's home, you know, and in a more an indirect way. I do college games for ESPN, and I often wonder why kids transfer so much, because the minute you enter the portal, that's no longer home to you. And so there was an opportunity back when I was at the University of Houston for some stuff that happened when we were in 4th and 5th grade that we were placed on probation for. And the NCAA came in and said, hey, we're going to give you or grant you a one-time transfer. You guys could go wherever you want. You don't have to sit out. Not one person even entertained the thought of leaving. And for me, in today's college football world, I'm blown away at just the movement, because that's what it takes to be a teammate, a brother. It's what you will be able to call home forever. And Houston, to me, is going to always be home. And this just kind of stamps it for me.
And the Houston Sports Hall of Fame, another home for you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Very emotional there as we hear the 3 Hall of Famers for this year's Houston Hall of Fame. Glad that we were able to bring that to you live. Now let's talk about Hurricane Melissa. Now, it really caused a lot of damage in the island of Jamaica, and people here in the Houston area are doing something about it. With me right now is Dr. Nicole Bent-Jones to talk about how you can help the victims of Hurricane Melissa with a nonprofit organization dedicated to linking Jamaican culture to our community. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you.
And first of all, you are from Jamaica, so tell me about personally about the family that you have there and how you haven't been able to get a hold of them.
Well, I'm from Mandeville, Jamaica, and I have a cousin there and family in St. Elizabeth that was hardest hit by the hurricane. And the lines are down. It's hard to connect by cell phone. So we're trying to see how we can get word of how the family is doing. A lot of the homes are devastated. A lot of the families are displaced. So we're trying to work with them.
And tell me about the Jamaican population here in Houston, because it's pretty big.
We have over 45,000 Jamaicans here in Houston. So we, as a foundation, we're working with the Honorary Consul for Jamaica here in Houston, Mary Fullerton, and other local organizations on financial and item donations. So if you visit our website at JamaicaFoundationofHouston.org, you'll see a link to donate. You'll see drop-off sites to donate physical items. And we're hoping to get a first shipment out within a couple weeks, within the duty-free period.
So if people are listening right now, what can they do specifically?
They can specifically, any donation helps. So donate through our link on the website, visit the drop-off sites. They can volunteer, help package and sort material for the trucks that are going out in a week. And they can contact us and just see how else they can help.
And so trucks going out there, I mean, what is the transportation like? Is it going through another organization, or is it you all specifically?
Well, we're in touch with the Jamaica Embassy and the consulate in Miami, and they have identified Food for the Poor. We just got off a call just before this, and Food for the Poor has been in Jamaica for over 40 years. So we are likely to work with them, the Office of Disaster Prepared Management. They're also a legitimate source for us to send donations.
And how much money is there a goal that you're hoping?
We have an initial goal to satisfy the essential needs. That's $150,000. And we're wanting to scale it up to $500,000 and then $2 million. We want corporate sponsors, donors. We want company match, anything that can help.
And can you give the website name one more time?
JamaicaFoundationofHouston.org.
Okay. And to the people who might be thinking about it, how much would this help the people of Jamaica?
Oh, more than you know. Category 5, this is unheard of. So the devastation is unreal. Families are needing the help right now, and they'll need it for months to come and years to come. And, Jamaica, we feel the love already, our motto, no problem.
Yeah.
But this is really testing that.
Yes,
But we're resilient people, so, any support helps.
I appreciate you taking the time to tell us all about this. And if you can help, please definitely go visit that website, and we'll have a link on our website as well, fox26houston.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back. All right, President Trump is now saying that the U.S. will not pay for SNAP benefits among the government shutdown, and we are on day 35 of the government shutdown. And just yesterday, his administration said it would pay about half of the SNAP costs for November. Now, we caught up with Associate Pastor James Lee from the Church at Bethel's Family.
What you guys are doing today?
Today we're a super site for this area, partnering with the Houston Food Bank. We're here because those that are affected by the government shutdown, and also those that their SNAP benefits have been cut. So we're here trying to help to fill those gaps. We're here every week serving the folks here in the Southwest area and also in the Houston community. We're not zip code restricted at all, so anybody can come.
Excellent. And like you said, you do this every week. This isn't something that's just for this, but the big site, the big distribution is...
Yes. The super site distribution now that we're doing here is to offset those that are shut out by the government shutdown, and also those that are affected by the loss of SNAP benefits. So we are a super site. We'll be here on the 4th of November, the 11th of November, and the 18th of November.
Talk about how important it is for this. I mean, these folks that need a little help.
Yes, this is extremely, extremely important because these gaps that people have in their life, especially affected by like the shutdown or SNAP, we're here to fill those gaps. The very first bill that will be affected by you missing paychecks and by not being able to get the SNAP benefits is going to be your food bill. But you can supplement the food by coming to a site like us, coming to a pantry and connecting with us so that we can go ahead and just fill the pantry for a day or two, just enough to help you get through.
For the folks that maybe aren't affected, aren't as affected, how can they help?
Well, you can help several ways. One, you can come and volunteer. Two, you can also give. You can go to our website, bethelsheavenlyhands.org, and you can sign up to volunteer, or you can just donate, because we have to be able to offset the cost from the extra hours that we're extended to help the people in the community that need to be helped. And one way you can help is by giving, and that will help us to offset those costs and offset the extra hours, absolutely.
I mean, the best way to do that, obviously, is go to the website.
Just go to the website.
What else? Is there something I missed that we need to talk about?
No, I just wanted to, I guess we can just talk about the impact. The impact that we're having here today, it's going to be far, far, far reaching. The impact is not just because of the government shutdown. It's not just because of the SNAP benefits. There are people every single day that live in a state of disaster. So we are here every day to serve the people in the Houston community, to make sure that those gaps that come into people's lives that happen even after times like this, that those gaps can be filled. That's our purpose, that's our mission, and we're going to continue to do this until we can't do it anymore.
All right, glad that people are helping out during this time of need in the government shutdown. Again, day 35, and we're keeping tabs on the Senate floor. Hopefully they'll be voting soon and it will actually pass, so we will end the government shutdown. Well, there is a brand new exhibit at the Contemporary Arts Museum in Houston, and our Ruben Dominguez is telling us all about it.
You know, we have such an amazing scene here, museum scene, and if you haven't been down to Contemporary Arts Museum in a while, this is the time to come. New exhibit, Tomashi Jackson, Houston-born artist. It's called Across the Universe. Michael Robinson joins us. Very timely for Election Day, because this is an artist very much tuned into what some of the struggles that have happened over the years with voting for people of color especially.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, some artists really hone in on a singular craft and try to really perfect that to the most of their ability. Tomashi is an artist of ideas, really going through history and really refining and kind of bringing in these materials that help kind of enhance these ideas. What you're seeing at this exhibition, you know, Tomashi Jackson Across the Universe, really is a culmination of 15 plus years of research, really going in depth on voting rights, on histories of movements of people to, you know, get those voting rights, to get rights to assemble and things like that, and told in many different ways. You know, you have some ephemera of voting signs, things that you might find in your own backyard, but even then, yeah, maps, really things that are potentially discarded, but also through this history, you can kind of see she's painted on these photographs. It's beautiful. You kind of see this cross-hatching that you'd find normally in screen printing, if you're familiar,
right.
but you can't really on this material. So she kind of creates these what we call mylar strips that are translucent on top of that. So you have these two images that are overlapping, these colliding
that
histories.
layered effect.
Exactly, exactly. So, you know, outside of this really deep research practice, they're beautiful to witness. You know, Tamashi is such an incredible artist to kind of merge these aesthetics, things that are so wonderful to look at, really with these, like, they go as deep as you want to look at the court cases she's referencing.
And, you know, you guys, of course, always do a great job having a lot of information to go along with the pieces. And, you know, born in Houston, grew up in California, but she's also worked in different parts of the country and did a residency, I believe, in Greece as well, birthplace of democracy.
Absolutely. So this show actually originated from her collaborating with a curator from Denver who was paired with her in this residency in Greece to really kind of delve into histories of democracy. And that's really the kind of cornerstone of a lot of this exhibition is not only, you know, these voting rights that we have, but looking at America is the longest running democracy, right? Like Greece obviously made it popular essentially, and, you know, is that foundation, but America is kind of the one carrying the torch. So it's not just about the systems that we have, but also how precarious and, you know, how not permanent they are. Exactly, 100%. So Tamashi is really a reminder of, you know, how much these voting rights are important to fight for.
And it runs through when?
It runs through March 29th. Okay. So there's plenty of time to see it, but now is such a perfect time. We have plenty of upcoming programs at the museum. Check it out. We have some dance programs, some lectures, but also the museum is always free. So, you know, Wednesday through Sunday.
I mean, you can't beat that, man. I mean, just coming down here, every time I come down here, you guys knock it out of the park with the exhibits. There's always, you know, especially this one, it's like, not only is it, like we said, timely and kind of tuned into a lot of the things that are happening right now, but it's so vibrant and visual and highly recommended. Michael, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks for taking the time. Contemporary Arts Museum, Houston, come on down, guys. We're going to send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Ruben, thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. Anthony Antoine coming up at 3.
All right, welcome back to Houston Live and Local here at 3 o'clock. I'm Anthony Antoine. It is election day, so we have a lot to talk about in terms of politics here. Remember, we have 17 statewide amendments here that are going to have a direct impact on you, a lot of them dealing with homeowners and estate taxes and things like that. So it's going to be very important to get out there and vote. Not to mention, if you are in the 18th Congressional District, that is the district here, the historical district that was now left vacant by the passing of the late Sylvester Turner. Now we have several people vying for that position. All the polling that we've seen so far suggests that we can be very well headed to a runoff, but we got to see who's the top two contenders here. So today, folks are heading to the polls to get that done. So we got a lot to talk about that in just a little bit here. But first, we want to start and get some weather conversations going here with meteorologist Misha Shea to help you guys plan the rest of your day. So, Misha, what's happening outside?
Perfection, in my opinion. I mean,
chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss. What can you complain about? It's gorgeous out there. We have the wind now shifting to the southeast, so it's a few degrees warmer than this time yesterday, but we're still in the mid upper 70s. Nothing but sunshine. Look at these temps. We're feeling great.
Ooh.
I love it. Galveston, 73, Tomball, 77, Sugarland, 81, and nothing but sunshine. There have been so many occasions over the years where election day weather has been pretty crappy, to be honest, but that is not the case this year. No major cloud cover, no rain whatsoever, no strong wind, nothing severe out there. Severe clear, we'll call it that. We are looking great for the rest of our election day. Temperatures across the Houston area right now are very nice and comfortable. We've got temps, like I said, in the upper 70s for most spots. If you're not in the upper 70s, you're likely in the low to middle 70s. And we have Sugarland, our warm spot, kind of right around 81 degrees. So bottom line, if you are going to be heading out, do anticipate the weather is going to be quite nice. In fact, really across the majority of the country, it is fairly quiet. So we are going to be enjoying this nice stretch of weather. As far as rain, I know a lot of you have been maybe wanting some rain, hoping for some rain, wondering when will we have our next significant shot for rain. Well, it doesn't appear that we are going to have any rain chances in the forecast for the next couple of days, but as I mentioned, we do have that wind starting to shift out of the southeast now, so that will bring back the moisture, the humidity, and gradually that will bring back a small chance for rain, likely by this weekend. But don't count on it to be much. It's only going to be about a 10 to 20% chance. Here is that gorgeous shot of H-Town right now. If you're about to head out, you maybe get a 10-15 minute break from work and go get your vote in. It is looking nice out there. We've got dew points increasing a bit up to 53 from the 40s the last few days, but bottom line, there's just not a ton to worry about out there. We are looking good all across the Houston area. As far as our temperatures outside of Houston, 76 Anahuac, 77 Pearland, and 77 degrees for you in Angleton. So it is going to be an absolutely spectacular evening. Get outside. If you've already voted, maybe you just want to get out there and go to the park, go for a walk in your neighborhood. Weather will be perfect for all of it. Now, we have had drought conditions kind of getting worse in some spots, especially east and west of Houston the last few weeks. So we do need some rain, but overall the weather is very nice. 24-hour temperature change. We're a few degrees warmer out there for most spots than we were at this time yesterday, but we really can't complain too much about this weather overall. So let's look at your election day forecast, and it is shaping up to be a very nice one. In fact, we've got temperatures that are going to be on the comfortable side, likely into the upper 70s still around 4 p.m., 73 degrees by 6 o'clock, wind out of the southeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Remember, the sun sets around 5:30, so by 6 o'clock it is going to be dark out there, but the weather will still be quiet. And by 8 o'clock, a lovely, nice evening in store with those temperatures in the upper 60s and clear skies expected. So we are looking great for your election day. As we go through the late night hours, there will be some spots that will once again dip back to the 50s late tonight. But that's not going to impact your election day plans because by then the election day will be over. So keep in mind it is going to be very mild for the afternoon, still a little cool for tonight. But I think by the end of the week, Anthony, we're talking about those temperatures climbing back to around 86, 87 degrees. Not far from 90, but at least we're not getting back to record heat. And we are looking forward to a cold front moving through on Sunday and Monday. compared to yesterday, it's looking a lot cooler. So maybe a chilly, breezy, blustery Monday coming up. Not a freeze, but it will be cooler. Yeah, a little something.
All right, Amisha, thank you so much. Hopefully you guys can find some time to get out there and go vote. Okay, so now we are going to head to California. And you're probably wondering, Anthony, why are we going to California when we got so much to talk about here in Texas? Well, there is some correlation between the two here. So in Texas, on their ballot, they are specifically going to vote on an initiative known as Proposition 50. It would alter many of the state's congressional districts. Joining us now to talk more about that is Amalia Roy over at our sister station there in California. So Amalia, kind of give us an understanding here. What exactly is Proposition 50 in California?
Hi, Anthony. Proposition 50 is a question to California voters about whether or not to take the responsibility to draw congressional maps away from the Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission and give it to state lawmakers. We know what the proposed map looks like. There are 5 targeted seats held by Republicans currently that Democrats are hoping to flip next year. This all began over the summer when GOP lawmakers in Texas approved new congressional maps that would give them 5 potential seats at the midterms as well.
Okay, so essentially this is an attempt to offset what we're seeing here in Texas, and 5 is the magic number for Democrats. They're looking to redistrict to offset some of that on a national level. So what are you hearing from Republicans on this matter here? Because we are certainly hearing an earful from Democrats here in Texas. So what are Republicans saying as this measure is now being voted on?
Anthony, I've spent the past month traveling around California. I've been in Northern California, the Central Valley, speaking with folks on the ground about how they feel. And those against the proposition are looking at it from 2, I would say, big ways. The first is they like their district. They like their representation. They don't want to see that change. And they especially don't want to see that change when it is coming from maps drawn on partisan lines by state lawmakers. And that goes into the second thing they're looking at, which they don't like the idea of mid-decade redistricting, going away from this independent body that they trust to draw their maps.
A little bit more here, because California is one of the few states in the country that actually outsource those drawing of those lines, so that way you can go away from the gerrymandering. So can you explain that to some viewers here in Texas who may not have an understanding, because that's not how we do it here typically?
Yes, it was under Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger where there was this move to take the responsibility of drawing congressional maps away from lawmakers and giving it to the people, which is why we have this independent body. Now, with Prop 50, it would not be a permanent action to take that responsibility away from this commission, but it would be a temporary measure that would last through 2030, after which that would return to that Citizens Commission. People I spoke with say people who are against Prop 50 say they would wish that this would be a model for other states across the country. Congressman Kevin Kiley, whose district is at risk of being altered with Prop 50, says that he is a proponent of a model similar to California across the country.
All right, and at the helm of all of this, Governor Gavin Newsom. He's certainly been an outspoken individual in regards to the redistricting happening here in Texas and stepping up, many believe, to then offset these 5 seats here. What is the governor's position on this here today? Is he confident this will pass in California?
Yes, Governor Newsom and California Democrats are confident about Prop 50. Polling shows that it will likely pass, but they are still campaigning. Yesterday, Governor Newsom was in San Francisco with Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, still campaigning to get people out to vote for Prop 50. He sees this, and other California Democrats see this, as a necessary measure in order to counter what we are seeing not only in Texas, but in other states, and to maintain California's footprint in Washington.
Amalia Roy, thank you so much for joining us live from California here today, as voters there will be voting on Proposition 50 to essentially target and flip 5 seats, similar to the 5 seats here that many believe will flip and go Republican here because of the off-cycle redistricting happening here in Texas. So let's talk more about what's going on here in Texas and on the ballot here today. We got Greg Rugen, political chief, joining us on a couple of big races. Well, the big race here today, CD 18, Congressional District 18.
Yeah, CD 18 will likely come down to 3 candidates and a runoff. You're looking at Christian Menifee, our current county attorney, who has been leading in the polls, pretty much the whole time. followed by Amanda Edwards, who's a former city council member and has run for this seat before. In a very tight third place position, State Representative Jolanda Jones, who has gained quite a bit of notoriety by pushing back very hard on the issue of redistricting here in Texas. And my sense of things is they are all portraying themselves as brawlers, people who are willing to go to Washington and take on Donald Trump, and not and look for compromise, but for defeat of the Republicans and what has become, I think, kind of a scorched earth environment, winner take all.
Yeah, and probably safe, not probably, but safe to say that out of the three, Menifee, along with Jolanda, both of them have something to go back on in terms of fighting back or pushing back against Trump, in terms of Menifee suing the Trump administration, Jolanda also being, so like, is it safe to say those are the two that have the backing in that from that standpoint?
Yeah, well, look, there are some other candidates, Isaiah Martin, right, who has worked very hard. He has that same combative type style, saying, I want to go up and take them on. You also have a Republican in this race who has consistently polled in double digits, Carmen Montiel. And if the Democrats split the vote significantly, she could sneak into a runoff. I am hearing the turnout is very light, and those who are turning out tend to be older voters. That could favor Jolanda Jones, who is in her late 50s, early 60s, has served on city council, has served on Houston Independent School District's board as a trustee, along with being a state representative. So she has name ID and a core group of voters who believe she is the best choice. I mean, but it's anybody's race right now. I'm not picking any two to survive. There will be bitterness, though. That runoff's going to be something.
And CD18 is a very historical district when you look at the people who have represented that district for so long. How important is it, or does this signal a change in the representation and the youth that is potentially coming if Amanda Edwards, or Christian Menifee wins? That'll be like a significant change from the youth standpoint, because before that you had Sylvester Turner, Sheila Jackson Lee. What does this mean moving forward and the way they go about governing if one of them potentially wins this seat?
Look, that is a great narrative, but the fact is older voters are turning out. And so whether they're willing to usher in a new generation of leadership, we will see when the votes are counted. But that has certainly been part of the argument made by Menifee, Martin, Amanda Edwards, that it's time for a new generation of leadership in 18, which has a great legacy with Sheila Jackson Lee. We're talking about Mickey Leland, and of course, Barbara Jordan.
All right, so anything that could surprise you here, or when we first start to get maybe our first dump of ballots being counted here? Does the early vote, if it comes out for one candidate or the other, does it signal anything to you? You just gotta wait and see.
Absolutely. We're gonna have Mark Jones with us, and he'll be able to see those early numbers. Typically, 2/3 of the vote is cast early vote. I did talk to my good friend and WYP contributor Tamara Bell. She's been down at West Gray. She has said the lines have been long today, but the voters have been over 50, and that the millennials are not turning out in a way that would offset the older generation. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Yeah. But I trust her political acumen. She's been doing it a long time.
Yeah. And then certainly, so essentially, like, had this been a presidential election, turnout naturally higher, it could have benefited someone younger, maybe Menifee or Edwards. Is that what you're kind of...
Potentially. Yeah. We keep waiting for the younger generations to catch fire in terms of their voter participation. But frankly, folks start consistently voting when they become homeowners. Let's look at things. People over 50 have most of the money, they have most of the property, And I like to think they've got a lot of the wisdom because they have lived lives and they know how important voting is. And so until we see that shift where younger Americans, younger Texans vote in large numbers, it's still going to be an older person's game in terms of deciding representation.
All right, Greg Grugan joining us here. Of course, we'll have, what did you say? We got Mark Jones coming in later today.
We got Bill King coming in, and we have Paul Castro coming in.
All right.
Two of my most thoughtful Watch Your Point regulars.
All right, thanks a lot, Greg. We'll take a quick break and come right back with more Houston Live and Local. All right, y'all, welcome back to Texas Live and Local. Oh, not Texas Live and Local. This is Houston Live and Local. I'm sorry. I'm looking down here because we just got word that we now have a ground stop at both Bush and Hobby airports because of the staffing shortages, which is a result of the government shutdown, which is now in its second month. So here we are. We've seen the long lines there at Bush specifically. Some people telling us here over the weekend and even yesterday at a portion of the day, more than 3 hours wait time. Then you had some folks that showed up at Bush and they were able to get through in 30 minutes. So it's just one of those things where the TSA, make sure you're following all of the social medias there for Bush and Hobby, and TSA is saying get there early, 3 hours if possible. I mean, whether it's the international or domestic flights, they only have 2 terminals open at Bush, A and E. So make sure you guys are getting there early no matter what. So just plan ahead. Again, we have a ground stop right now at both Bush and Hobby because of staffing shortages there, folks not getting paid, so not showing up for work. Makes sense, right? All right, so let's get back to the election here real quick. So it is election day, lots going on. We just talked to Greg, get a feel for what's happening in the CD18. That's a big race we're watching. We also talked about what's happening there in California and them looking for Proposition 50 to try to offset the 5 Republican seats that are expected to flip here because of that off-cycle redistricting. But I really want to know what happens on the ground. Voter turnout is going to be so important here based on what we see, not only in CD18, but for those other 17 amendments as well. So let's check in with with Leslie Delaspore, who's over there in Fort Bend County. Leslie, what's going on? I know you're kind of roaming. It's a busy day for us all. So what you seeing out there in Fort Bend County?
Yeah, Anthony, you know, we've been roaming. I hope you can hear me here. There's a truck right beside me, so again, I hope you can hear me. But we have been roaming. It hasn't been fairly busy here in Fort Bend County at Sugarland City Hall. I'm going to step out and kind of show you really the lack of people there are. We have some people coming out here who just went in to cast their votes, but we've been here for maybe about 2 hours or so, and we've talked to people, and they've been kind of coming in and out, but it hasn't been fairly busy. We were at the Katy Public Library on Franz Road earlier, and it was much more traffic, much more activity there, but this place here at Sugarland City Hall, not too much traffic. Now, like I said, we did speak with voters here. We spoke with people who obviously told me that it's important for people to get out and vote, no matter your age, race, gender, etc., right? I also spoke with one man who said that he wishes that the language on these ballots would be easier to digest so that people who might feel intimidated to come out and vote don't. Take a listen to what some of the voters here in Fort Bend County had to say earlier.
I came out to vote. I think every American should. That's one of our God-given rights, and we need to exercise it. You lose it if you don't use it.
We saw what's happening around the world, so we were like, we got to make an impact. We got to help our generation.
We got to do our due diligence as citizens, you know. We got to make sure everyone out there votes. Make sure you guys are voting. You might not think it's important. You might not think it matters, but your vote does matter. Everyone's votes matters. That's why you should vote.
And you guys look kind of young. How old are you guys, and why? Like, what would you say to your generation?
I mean, I'm 19, and I think it's really important because, like, what we do matters. So I just say you go out there and vote. That's basically what I'm doing.
Yeah. What about for you?
Yeah, I'm 20. My word for this generation is, like, we're next. We're next up. Then what comes next is on our hands. So we got to make sure, like, we're doing our part and making sure, like, we set up the next generation after us, you know?
It's still really important for our future. Like he said, we're up next, so we gotta like really think about it. Our families, our near families and stuff like that. Help out our people, you know.
Our generation, our kids, their kids, the future generation. We're gonna make sure we gotta set them up for success, you know.
Yeah, and like you just heard, those two men there, they're in Gen Z, and they said it's important for people their age to come out and vote and make their voices heard for the next generation. So we will be here in Fort Bend County talking to voters here in the suburbs to see how they're feeling, heading to the polls, and what is bringing them out to make their voice heard. Reporting live in Fort Bend County, Leslie Delaspore, Fox 26 News.
All right, Leslie, thank you so much for doing that. Girl, it looked like a tumbleweed could have rolled behind you because ain't nobody over there. But it's good to see the young kids, though, getting it done. All right.
For sure indeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. We appreciate it. All right, you guys, are you voting in this election? That is one of our megaphone questions here today. 86% of you say yes, it is important, and I could not agree with you more. Truth be told, man, some folks lost their lives for some of us to be able to vote, so please don't take that for granted. Lots to talk about here. Again, the Congressional District 18 is the big election, or not even election, but the big topic or the big race here today is the Congressional District 18. Christian Menifee, Amanda Edwards, and Jolanda Jones are certainly the top three candidates, but don't be surprised if something else happens and someone sneaks in here, because there's so many people running for that congressional district that it can be very close for someone to sneak in there. This race, by all polling, by all means, says that it will go to a runoff. If it does, of course, we will be there to bring you guys, to take you through all of it. We're going to take you through it from start to finish. Today we have several crews on the ground all over, making sure we are covering everything we need to, not just in Harris County, Fort Bend County, and all the surrounding areas. We have also heard from Tanisha Hedspeth here today, who is the clerk, Harris County clerk. Very efficient woman. She offered an earlier morning press conference today. She's going to be speaking at 7 o'clock, giving us some more updates. And again, 7 o'clock is when those polls close, right? So that's when we'll get that update for her. She's really good at addressing any issues that could potentially happen. She runs a very tight ship, and she's very efficient. So as soon as we get that press conference tonight at 7 o'clock, we'll be sure to bring it to you so that way you guys know exactly what it is. We also have a What's Your Point panel. So Greg was here talking earlier. He said he got Mark Jones coming in from Rice University's School of Public Policy. We also have some Bill King, the former mayor, and some other individuals who always lend their voices to times like this. And of course, you can watch that again 6:30 here today And then at 7 o'clock is that press conference from Harris County Clerk Tanisha Hedspeth. So again, if you're looking at me, watching me, really quickly reminder here, there are 600 different voting centers if you live in Harris County. So there's no reason for you not to find one. And the beauty of it is you can vote at any one of those locations. You do not have to go to a precinct around the corner. If you're at work and you got an hour, you got to go somewhere else nearby, just make sure you go to harrisvotes.com and you can find one of those 600 polling locations. Matter of fact, it's super easy. They got a map on there for you. It gives you the location and go. You don't have a reason not to, you guys. 17 constitutional amendments, a lot of them dealing with property taxes as well. So thank you guys so much for sticking with us here on Houston Live and Local. We'll see you later.
Sit all the time. To our desk. Oh, that's cute. Oh, thank you. Can we get the prompt? Hi, friends.
Good afternoon.
How is it going?
Welcome to Caroline and Rashi.
I'm Rashi.
I'm Caroline, if you didn't know.
Yep, and Rashi is also like
5 inches shorter than Caroline, which is my bad.
But people are like, how tall are you or how short is
I know,
she? Like, nobody ever really knows.
Yes.
I would say I'm pretty tall. You're actually, to me, you're not really short.
No, I think on average, you know what's crazy is like in different parts of the world, I'm really tall. Like
Yeah,
Asia,
I don't think that you're considered I'm just tall. I am a tall person.
Yeah.